Welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna Coles, and today we're visiting with Megan Treadway. She's with the Kentucky State University Extension Team, the Area Family and Consumer Science Agent. Apples is probably one of my favorite fall treats, and
Mine too.
they're so good, right? This time of year, they're local, but there's a way that we can extend that through dehydrating.
Yes, dehydrating is one of my favorite ways to have an apple snack. I love to dehydrate, especially in the fall when the apples are fresh. And it's really one of the simplest ways to preserve your food, just to remove that water content that bacteria, molds, and enzymes need to survive. And that makes your apples shelf stable for a long time.
Yeah, and so when we're craving this maybe in the spring, we can just pull out one of these dehydrated apple packs and still get that great flavor because it does preserve the flavor.
It does preserve the flavor. It also concentrates the flavor, so you get a stronger and a sweeter flavor from your apples.
So, but if people are at home and they're thinking, well, I don't have a big fancy dehydrator, can I still dehydrate apples?
It's possible if your oven reaches a low enough temperature. That would really be the only other alternative. One way to dehydrate apples would be outside, but in Kentucky we have such humid temperatures that it's hard to do that here. So if your oven can reach a temperature of around 140, 130 degrees, then you could dehydrate apples. Just remember that you're using a lot of energy that way because it requires several hours to dry those apples. So really purchasing an electric dehydrator is really your more cost-effective way to dehydrate foods.
And then it doesn't take up another appliance. Like it kind of runs
Absolutely.
on its own. So walk us through the steps of how to use one of those.
You're going to want to probably preheat your dehydrator while you're doing some of your first apple steps. Use your manual and follow the instructions for your specific dehydrator. Just choose some apples that are firm and tart. Those are going to be your best flavors and your best texture for dehydrating. I like Granny Smith, Honeycrisp, Pink Lady. Those are my favorites. Just be sure that they're good quality, freshly picked, because that's how you want to preserve them. You want to preserve them at the quality that they are the best. We're gonna wash, core, and peel the apple slices into 1/4, 1/2 inch slices. I really like to use a combination peeler, core, slicer that will slice all of your apple pieces in even thickness slices so that uniformity helps them dry more evenly. The thicker slice is going to take a little longer and probably not be as good. We like those thin slices that almost melt in your mouth. Those are really good. As you're doing that first step, you want to pre-treat your apples just in a bowl of water with ascorbic acid. That's vitamin C powder is all that is, and that prevents your apples from browning or discoloring while you're dehydrating them. And while you're peeling the rest of your apples, it's good to go on and stick them in that bowl of water. That ascorbic acid can also help them retain some of their vitamin C that they naturally have, and I love that aspect of it too. So after you've got all of your apples peeled and soaked, you want to drain them well and place them on a single layer on each of the trays in your dehydrator and dry them for around 4 to 6 hours at 130 to 135 degrees. So you can kind of let them go after you get started. Even though it takes a long time, you can walk away from that dehydrator. I like to go back and rotate my trays every hour or so, just so there's not one single tray that is absorbing all of the heat from the heat unit. You want to cool them first. It's good to check for dryness before you completely store them. So cut or tear some slices in half and make sure that they don't have any moisture if you give them a squeeze. If you fold them in half, make sure that they don't stick to themselves. You want them to be pliable but not sticky. And that's a pretty good indicator that they're dry enough to store. Be sure that you store them after they've cooled some. You don't want them to sweat, any moisture to build up, but you also don't want to let them sit for too long before you store them because they can absorb some moisture from the air. You want to store your apples in any airtight container. So a plastic jar, a canning jar is a great airtight container, or if you have a vacuum sealer, vacuum sealing those apples will keep them fresher even longer. They should be good for at least a year. You may lose some quality in the flavor the longer you let them sit, like most preserved foods. But once that moisture's gone, and as long as you have them airtight, especially if you vacuum seal them, they'll be safe to eat for forever.
Thanks for watching and have a great day.